Good evening. Time is now 7 p.m. on Monday, November the 14th. I call this meeting to order. I declare we have a quorum present. Ms. Diasis will lead us in the pledges, and Mr. Rector will give the invocation. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Lord, we come this evening thanking you for watching over us and allowing us to be here. We thank you for all the beautiful things in life you allow us to enjoy. We thank you for all our veterans who have served our great nation as we celebrated Veterans Day. We pray for your blessings upon us as we prepare to celebrate Thanksgiving. Every day that we know you is a day of Thanksgiving. Now we pray your blessings upon us as we begin our meeting. We pray these blessings in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Diasis and Mr. Director. The first thing is on the agenda is and could you please here? So please mark up minutes. First is public testimony. Nobody signed up. So next we go to District of Recognition. Panther Employees of the Month. Ms. Cook.
Okay, our favorite part of the meeting is to do our District Panther and Employees of the Month. So when I call your name, if you'll come over to this area so that we can present you with a little gift, I guess it is, and everyone can get to see you, and as I read a little bit about you that's been sent in from the campuses. So we're going to begin with Panther of the Month for November 2022. And we're going to begin with Andy Flores in Miss Tapia's first grade class. Come on up. Yes. Well, let's go ahead and find out about Andy. Andy comes to school every day with so much excitement and enthusiasm. She is a great friend to all of her peers and is always willing to lend a hand to them. Miss Tapia has caught Andy on multiple occasions teaching her friends math skills that they have gone over. We are so happy Andy is our student of the month at Falk Elementary. Let's give her another hand and she'll see it on the video. Next, we have Abigail Jackson, a third grade student at Charlie Marshall. Abigail is an exceptional student. She works hard and does not let anything distract her from learning. She has a great work ethic and strong desire to succeed. We are very blessed to have Abigail as our student, and she truly deserves this honor of Panther of the Month. Next, we have Miguel Ayala, is an 8th grade student from our AC Blunt Middle School. He is a member of NJHS, Hope Squad, and AC Blunt Middle School Athletics. Miguel consistently displays leadership and integrity on campus and off. He is an excellent role model for all students in his academic and athletic endeavors. We are thrilled to name Miguel as AC Blunt's Panther of the Month. Congratulations. Next, we have Nathan Smith, a freshman from our high school. Nathan is a good student. Since becoming volleyball manager, Nathan has opened up and become more social as well as improving his class performance. It is helping with his attitude in regards to school, and it is amazing at the improvement it has helped with his grades. Not only that, he does a great job of managing, and the team appreciates his efforts. Congratulations. Next, we'll move to our Employees of the Month. First, we have Josephine Watson. Josephine, are you here? No, not here. but she was selected as the Employee of the Month for Falk Elementary. Ms. Watson is a very attentive, friendly person. Our students love to go to the library because she encourages them that reading is fun. We all appreciate her enthusiasm. She goes above and beyond for our students and our teachers. Congratulations. Charlie Marshall Elementary is proud to recognize Jacob Flores as the Employee of the Month. His work hard, support your teammates, and have fun attitude inspires us all to be the best educators we can possibly be. He takes on challenges without hesitation, builds rapport with students like no other, and constantly asks what he can do to help out. Thank you, Coach Flores, for being the positive inspiration that you are for every employee in this district. Thank you. Next, we have Miss O'Brien that has worked for APISD for 6 years and is at the middle school. AC Blunt has been lucky to have her positive attitude and amazing smile for the past 3 years. Miss O'Brien's love of decorating and passion for all things holiday related ensures that AC Blunt is always a festive and happy place to work. Thank you, Miss O'Brien, our immensely deserving Employee of the Month. Next, we have Rochelle King. Rochelle is a counselor at APHS. Rochelle is such a great leader on our campus. She is so skillful and knowledgeable with so many important components on this campus. With all the wealth of knowledge that she has, she is still the most compassionate person with an open door to not only students, but also employees that just need to be heard. Sometimes people forget just because someone is awesome at their job and has been for many years. Rochelle, you are our rock. Next, our Central Office Employee of the Month is unable to be here. Sorry, you're not done yet. No, she's not, but there's one more after that. I think there, hang on. Next, she's not able to be here tonight, but Amy Obrego was chosen as the Central Office Employee of the Month. She serves as our PEMS coordinator. This position is very important, I can't read tonight, as the data she is responsible for putting into the system each day affects our district funding. She is very meticulous in her work to ensure that our submissions are perfect. Amy always has a smile on her face, and she is a pure joy to work alongside. So let's give her a round of applause. And last, but certainly not least, Cindy Hapner. Cindy has been chosen as the Employee of the Month for Maintenance and Transportation. Cindy is a bus monitor. She is a hard worker, shows up on time, ready to work every day, and always has a great attitude. Cindy is very self-sufficient and always keeps the parents of the students on her special ed route informed. Thank you, Cindy, for all you do. And thank you, Adele, for handing out our awards. And those are our Panther and Employee Students of the Month. Panther, that didn't come out right, but you know what I meant. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Jason Devon and his family. Jason's our new Director of Maintenance and Transportation. So we'd like to welcome him to our district. We just hired him on to take that position. So we'd like to welcome him to our district and him and his family. And congratulations on the job.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Welcome.
Before we go past that, I'd like to congratulate Ms. Cook on her son this weekend. He was nominated for the Country Band of the Year for Texas, and over the weekend he won that award. So congratulations.
Nice.
one more.
John?
One more thing. On here we have Veterans Day, recognizing we know Veterans Day has passed, but it's always never too late to do that. So we would like to ask at this time any veteran that has served or now serving, if you happen to be in the house, if you would please stand. Any veteran? We just want you all to know how much we appreciate your service and your sacrifice that you gave for our country. We know how important our freedom is. We stand and say this pledge of allegiance to our flag. And if we really stop and think about what the words mean, it's these men and women. We didn't have any women today, but any men and women that serve. I know my daughter served in the Air Force, and I was always very proud of her service. And I think we don't realize the sacrifice that they make, that their families make. And I think it's very important that we always remember each and every day, but especially during Veterans Day, how much we need to make sure we share with you how much we appreciate you and all that you've done for our country. So again, thank you.
The community itself, Mr. Director and I both participated in Veterans Day ceremonies this weekend. And there were, I mean, at the Veterans Park here in Aransas Pass, we had a big celebration, and it's the most people who've ever have attended. So again, I'd just like to thank the community for all the support they give the veterans in the community as well. So
We also had our first grade student, right? Is this Andy? Andy has shown up. So Adele, could you join us again?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, we're so glad you were able to be here. Andy Flores is in the room. If you'll come up to our area. Let's read again about Andy. Andy is Miss Tapia's first grade class. Andy comes to school every day with so much excitement and enthusiasm. She is a great friend to all of her peers and is always willing to lend a hand to them. Miss Tapia has caught Andy on multiple occasions teaching her friends math skills that they have gone over. We are so happy Andy is our student of the month for Falk Elementary. Congratulations. I'm glad you can make it. Okay, I think we're done now.
now I can do it? Okay. Yeah, we always give you the opportunity to stay here if you want to for the rest of the board meeting, but we know you got things to do at home and you got your family to feed and the students got homework or supper to eat or something. So we give you this opportunity if you'd like to go ahead and leave before we proceed on with the rest of the agenda. So take this opportunity to leave and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Is your mic on?
I'm not sure. It says it is.
Hello.
Is it light green?
I don't hear anything though.
Yeah.
Test, test, test.
Test, test. Might not work.
His is not
To
on.
get closer to you.
It's working.
Test, test, test.
I don't think his is working for
don't
some
hear it.
reason.
Very loud.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay.
Maybe she needs to, let's see if she can turn it up.
Yeah, there
There
it
it
is.
goes, there it
Okay.
goes.
It's because I talk so soft anyhow, right?
Oh, yes. Have a good evening. Thank you for being here. Congratulations.
Nice young kid.
Yeah, they cleaned us out, didn't they?
Pretty much so.
And then they put back, and then they finally left, or at least cut off the lights.
Yes, Ken. Have a good evening.
Hi, thank y'all very much. Congratulations.
Now, since Mr. Cuevas is here for our tax attorney, I'd like to, if there's no objection, I'd like to move item 7E, consider and approve the tax purchase of property up to this point so we can talk about that so he can go home. So we got you on the last part of the agenda, so.
Thank you so much. We have a tax resale offer on a piece of property here in Aransas Pass, lot 7, 5, 6, 7, and 8, block 684/4 Dibble Bay Front. It's a subdivision here in San Patricio County. The offer was made by a Alexander Tan, And there was a bid-off conducted on this property. His original bid was only $500. We got a subsequent bid, so we conducted a bid-off, and now the bid is $27,500, which is really good. And what I would ask that you look at is the bid analysis here. And I'll just go through it real quick. The original sale date for this property was back in June of '22. Right now, what's due to all the entities is around $18,700. The amount of the bid is $27,500. The cost of the sale that we'll have to pay up front out of this $27,500 if approved is $1,897. The current value is $37,800. And as you can tell, what you're going to receive, what's due to Aransas Pass ISD is $8,274.30. What you'll receive is $11,291.79, which will pay all the taxes, and you'll have a little bit over about $3,000 more, which is really good. The city has already approved this offer, and we would just ask that you consider the bid tonight.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, no questions, comments. Do I have a motion to approve the offer for purchase of tax property?
So moved.
Who made that?
I did. Butler.
I heard it come. I just motion made by Ms. Butler. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Flores. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes got it. Thank you, sir.
And I apologize. My name is Robert Cuevas. I'm the office manager for Linebarger out of Corpus Christi. Mr. Salcedo is at another meeting in Odom, and he asked me to come to this meeting, so I apologize for not introducing myself.
No,
But I'm the
appreciate
office
your time.
manager. I've been
Thank
with
you.
the firm 34 years, so, and I've worked the Aransas Pass
Yes.
for a long time, so. It's good to see everyone, and if there's anything you all ever need, please let us know, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe trip.
Y'all- And thank you for letting me go first. My wife is
Jump
gonna be
in
very happy. Let me go, I can go have dinner with her. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, sir.
I'll go with you.
Next is item 4B, discussion drainage concern. And again, we had concerns about some drainage over by AC Blunt.
We have the enrollment report first.
Oh,
just
I'm
real
sorry.
quick.
I just
That's
jumped
okay.
right
I
ahead.
know you're,
I want to get
you
so
must
fast.
be hungry too, so we'll go fast. But just
I
real
don't blame
quick,
you.
if the enrollment report, you have for the second 6 weeks. It's hard to believe we are now in, actually, we've already had one, we're in our second week of the third 6 weeks. It is hard to believe. So you have that report if you have any questions. I also wanted to let you know that by the end of last week, of our first week of the third 6 weeks, we're up to 1,709 students with a 92% attendance rate. So that's up even from this last report.
Lost something.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, if not, then
You know, I mean, I noticed our overall attendance is like 92, 90,
Yes.
you know.
that is
So,
that
so
is due. I checked with the nurses. Of course, they keep track of all of this, and so we've had a lot of flu already occurring, stomach virus, upper respiratory infections, major congestion with fever. So it hasn't really been COVID of any signs like that. It's just good old stuff we've dealt with for years, and it's hitting not only us but across the region. I know that in one of my superintendent's meetings, all the superintendents were asking the commissioner, were we going to get any, support or relief in this? And we were told we're back to the good old days of no, if you drop below 10% below your normal attendance rate, then you can go for a waiver. Thank goodness we've not dropped that low. But we're kind of, what we're seeing is some of those things that we've had before. We have been, Mr. Bennett has gone around and made sure that our custodial staff is still using our cleansers and doing everything we were doing during COVID to the same level that we were, because we believe those are some good things that came out of that we can continue to do and ensure that we try to prevent some of this spread, but with a bunch of children in a classroom together, that doesn't always happen. You'll kind of notice it's our babies. It seems to be our babies and our high school students. So I'll just leave that for you to ponder.
yeah, and if you've been looking at the news lately, it's not just us; it's everywhere. And they kind of projected that before the flu season hit that it was going to be a bad flu season. Got RSV out there, plus you got stomach bugs going. So there's a lot of different diseases going out there, So, you know, so it all kind of hit us at one time, so. Anybody have any questions on the superintendent's report or the attendance? Enrollment? Okay, next is the discussion for the drainage concerns.
Yes, I've asked Mr. Bennett to come, and he has been, he pretty much, anytime it rains, he drives, and especially a hard rain, drives and looks and thinks and works with our team of what needs to be done. I know this last big rain we had several weeks back, we really saw some ponding happening, and so I wanted him to come. There were some questions we had about that, so we wanted to bring that tonight for him to share what they've been looking at and doing and answer any of your questions.
Actually, the drainage is working as they planned for keeping the softball, baseball, and practice field dry. That rain was, you know, a couple weeks ago was out of the ordinary. I mean, it was 4 or 5 inches in about 6 hours. But looking at this over here, I think the question was about this pond. That retention pond was doing, or the low level area was doing exactly what it was supposed to do, and by the next morning, 9, 10 o'clock, it was almost all gone. So I don't know if there were any specific questions or concerns, but I usually drive around whenever it rains and take a look at what I can, make sure everything's draining. And from what I've observed, it seems to be doing what it's supposed to be doing.
I think the concern is if it still continues to get a big rain, it backs up, it's going to flood, you know, it'll back up where it's not draining fast enough. So again, I was thinking, I know that the county has the sewer system it drains into out there, but there's, you know, maybe we can ask the county to take a look at it.
I spoke with Commissioner Gillespie today, and he is going to send some guys out here. We have one drain here that for whatever reason, it's built up around it, and the drain's about 7 or 8 inches low, just right here. But I don't think we want to connect this to that, because that's higher. And if we were to trench back that way, all that water would come this way, and it would probably get us here at Charlie Marshall. But that water is flowing out of there. I mean, it came up to that tree. We were out there looking at it today. It came up about as high as we've seen it because of the amount of rain in the short period of time. But it was out of there, like I said, the next morning. It's flowing. There's the drain is, you know, underneath. You can't even see it in the water. And as long as it doesn't crest that berm, which of course we got to keep an eye on that, because I asked Vince about that a long time ago when they were still here and we had a bad rain, and it got pretty high on that. And he said as long as it's, you know, if it's staying within that, then it's holding where it's supposed to.
Be.
Mm-hmm.
There's a material, it's a netting material or a mesh material that's black, I think that they laid in the swell, or if we want to use what the word really is, the ditch.
Mm-hmm.
It's they use a fancy word, swell, but it's not. Was that for the seeding of the grass for it to?
Yes, sir. That was to hold the soil in place until the grass could take over, and it's still there. The guys actually probably about 3 weeks ago to a month bush hog and weed eat and lawnmowers and cleaned out the ditch all the way down. We have a little spot behind Blunt that the grass actually, it's a little bit deeper right where it comes out of that culvert from underneath the road, and that grows up on them pretty quick. But we're aware of it, and they're going to look into it the next couple of days. It's holding water right now.
So the culvert that you were mentioning back here on this back property, will you say again what you stated on it?
The one that's where the water is not draining.
The one that you talked to the county about?
There's one right here that unless you know it's there, you don't know it's there, and it's for whatever reason it's an area, 10 by 10 yards. It just built up.
Is it on our property or on the county's?
It's right here. It's on our
property. So it
property.
belongs to us.
But it doesn't. What I noticed, because I also looked at my cameras to see what the water was doing after that rain. After I heard that, you know, there's going to be questions about it, so I looked. And that really doesn't have an impact. I think if anything, it might help this parking lot here drain. They still have the black mesh, you know, the material around the drains by the concession stand we've talked about. Talked to Arnold today. They're going to try to get, they tried today, but it was a little more than they could handle, so they're going to get a tractor and see if they can get those up. And I think that'll help the water in front of the field house. And then by the concession stand, you know, that one, and then the one at the end of the practice field. But the practice field that morning after it rained actually had water standing on it, and they practiced on it that afternoon. So the drain is keeping those fields dry, and it's working. That was just an extraordinary amount of water in a hurry. And the front of the high school was water, you know, Lake AP out there, and by the next day it was gone. The pond, the retention pond that's always been there, it's still holding a lot of water, and it backs up like, you know, if the water can't drain into that, it's supposed to come this way. And that's what it was doing. That was a lot of water, but it handled it from what I could see and drained fairly quickly.
So what's the functionality of the one that's covered up here? If it's covered up and it's not draining, what water is it affecting off our property?
There's one directly behind us inside the fence, and the county did clean it out, and it looked like some water's draining. The water pools up behind the building, and it runs downhill. It's all past the pavilion, runs that way, and it goes into that. That one, I couldn't tell where it helped or hurt, but they're going to come try to scrape it down and see if it alleviates probably some water coming off this parking lot. That's what I'm thinking, from the best I could tell. But I know we don't want to trench it going that way, because that would just open it this way.
Well, that wouldn't make sense to do that. I mean, that's what
Right.
we had the drainage study for, and they didn't
Exactly.
recommend it at that time, so.
So, and I even asked Todd last week. He was at a meeting, and I asked him about it, and he said it was you know, the drainage study and all that was to keep those fields. That's why we did that, and
Yeah.
get the water draining in a couple areas actually. And from what I saw the other day, that's what it was doing. It had a tough time keeping up, but it did, and that was a lot of water. We don't see that very often, so.
I noticed the other day you had several loads of dirt piled up by the baseball field and the softball field. What is that used for?
They finally they top dressed the fields finally, and we've spread ryegrass and a little fertilizer, and this rain we got today will be just perfect, and it'll start germinating and turn green, and it'll hold everything in place. You know, it takes those fields 2 or 3 years before you don't see any little humps or anything like that. And top dressing it this year is one step, and then we do it again, and then it should look like this in another year or two. It'll be completely flat and look like what we expect it to.
On the girls softball team, you know where they warm up for pitching?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you had noticed, but I noticed it last year while they were doing it. Right where they pitch, it has a big old hole in front of it. That needed to kind of be filled up with dirt because it's got a little pit in it.
Right. We're redoing that whole, not where they build it, but in between, and making it look, should look just like it does out on the field when we're done. We have some red dirt ordered coming in. They're going to frame it up a little bit, and we're going to build that dirt in between and pack it in, and we're going to put the field conditioner on it where it looks just like the playing field out there, and then maintain that.
Anybody else got any questions or comments on it? It's just something we just need to keep an eye on, making sure it's working, and it's something we have to address, especially if it starts getting back this way where we spend all that money for those baseball fields and we don't want something over here to affect that over there, and so we just need to keep an eye on it, make sure if it becomes a problem, we need to address it, so.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you.
Next is calendar upcoming events, Ms. Cook.
We've put on the events that we were aware of at this point. I believe you'll notice one conflict with us being able to attend as much as possible. Band concert is on a board meeting night. I think they were looking at changing it. Is it still, we haven't heard? Okay, if there's any changes, we'll let you know. But this was the date as of time of print of this. So mark your calendars for all the fun festivities coming up and holidays and so forth. I did notice when we were looking at this that on our regular board meeting January 9th, that's pretty quick after we come back from the holidays for business office especially, to get all of the business paperwork finalized. So I believe we'll be bringing to you next month an option to move that meeting a little further down in January. So I'll be thinking about that, if that's going to cause issues or not. We'll discuss that in December. Unless you have any questions, that is it for the superintendent's report.
I have an item, possibly for calendar of events, under community enrichment, to have the Not necessarily just the fathers, but the daughters dance. I think we had that in the past, the father-daughter dance. I'd like to see us return to that.
A father-daughter dance?
Mm-hmm. And then also one for sons and mothers.
Okay.
But it not just be fathers. It could be, I mean, you know, your biological
Yeah.
stepfather, biological father figure more, because we have students who don't want students to think they can't come because their father figure is not their biological dad, basically.
Right.
You know, so whomever that is, it may be grandfather who's raising that student. And I know some communities do it just for fathers and daughters, but I'd like to see us include mothers and sons. And they could be two separate events, so,
Okay.
but I would like to see us incorporate that into our calendar.
Did you have a particular campus you're thinking of for this, or?
I think the last time we did this was years ago, and we used Blunt.
What grade levels? Was this like a certain,
I would like to see it for our students. So whether it's something we do just here at APISD or we do as part of the Alliance, and
okay.
so just something
Oh,
to.
so you're saying all age levels, or?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we may have to look at, okay, we'll look at
Yeah,
it.
because I think it'd
just-
be more difficult to have one at each campus, especially if there's a parent who has more than one child.
the concern, the reason I'm only hesitating is
Uh-huh.
because of age differences, having young children with with middle school students, and
Yeah,
so
because
I-
some of the music they'll
yeah.
be dancing at the elementary
So,
school won't be
I
the
know
same
that
music
the
they're trying to dance to at high
middle
school.
school
So,
and high
you know.
school they have like special dances that they do. I know that I've seen this done with elementary age students, so that's why I was asking what your vision was for it. So I'll get with administrators and see what type of plan we could come up with, how that might look and work, and then we'll bring it back to you and see.
Okay.
Because I think the
See.
junior high has a couple of dances here, don't they, Mr. King?
Yes.
Already for in
Just-
that.
And high
It
school has
just
prom.
the lower grades that you know, like at Falk and Charlie Marshall, don't have anything. And that, unlike Miss Cook, I've seen that before at other
Yeah, it's usually
other
elementary
districts
campuses.
where it's more the younger kids and having to do that. Because my son did that last year with his daughters, so both of them were in elementary school. So you know, so.
And some communities have it where it's not limited to just elementary or limited to just to junior high. So if you, I mean, certainly just look into that and see what works best for us. And again, if it's something that we don't want to take on just us and we want to maybe partner with our Alliance members, but in some form or fashion, I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is the financial reports. Ms. Stansberry, we got accounts payable, budget status, tax collection, and FEMA projects. Anything on that?
Have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions or comments on the accounts payable? The budget status and investment?
Hold on a second, let me catch up to you.
I'm
Had to
sorry.
Change my,
Again, accounts payable.
let me see here, there was,
Item
if you just
5A.
clarify, there's a $200,011 line item. Let's see on the second page, I believe. And it says item 282 with a /3. What is that for? What is that line item under maintenance?
Are you talking about the accounts payable report?
Yes, the second page of the accounts payable for October 31st, 2022. So on the second page, it's item 001, local maintenance cash. And there's a line item for $211,000.
Okay, that is the balance that is in actually our ESSER checking account. And it is a negative. That is where we have to draw down the money from TEA. So that is actually part of our checking account, our local maintenance operating account. But that particular account has a negative balance. So our Fund 199, very at the top, it's kind of holding a place for all of those negative accounts until we get reimbursed from TEA.
From TEA? Okay.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am. I gave you this additional cash report so you would see a few months ago where I was trying to show y'all the cash flow. That's why I brought this report to you, so you could see that we have to have a higher level in local maintenance in our 199 fund to make sure to keep our balance up in total funds.
So this second page, are these all, when you say TA reimbursements, so if it's a negative number, that's pending a reimbursement?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are all of our
All of those
federal and
negatives,
state
okay.
grants that the money flows through TEA. And once we spend it, then we have to send a report to TEA and request those funds. And we've got it down pretty much that when we I use the words draw down the money, we get our money within at least seven days normally after we do that submission. So the turnaround's gotten really fast with TEA.
Okay, so this is a newer report or presentation for us. So next month, will we see these negatives? There'll be positives?
It'll be a different number.
It'll be a different number? Okay.
Those negative numbers are because when we pay our payroll, we have a lot of payroll coming out of Fund 282 and 211, the second number below the 199.
Yes.
211. That also, most of these are associated with a payroll. So once we have a payroll on the 15th and the 30th, my bookkeeper will go ahead and draw the money down so we don't have to wait very long for that money to come back to us.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cheryl, for clarification, I'm a little confused on the ESSER funds. I thought the ESSER funds were paid up front.
No, all the federal money, we have to pay for it, whatever
So
we're
we have to
paying
expend
for.
it, and then we have to get reimbursed.
Yes, we have to wait for reimbursement.
So then we're going to be seeing that on a monthly basis with all those salaries
Yes.
as we're expending them.
But it sounds like it's a quick, well, compared to some other reimbursements that we received, this one is basically
Right.
7 business days or so.
So we don't have to have that outstanding for very long. We do it, in the spring, we were doing it after every payroll. At this point, when our balance in cash is pretty high, we will go ahead and do it once a month, so it's just a larger drawdown. But we're trying to get in the habit of doing it twice a month, once after every payroll. So
Okay.
we don't have a large amount waiting.
And then also, at one time, we were having a report on the ESSER funds on how the money was spent by category each year. I don't know if it was being provided periodically, but I thought we had talked about having that included in our financial reports, just so there would be a running report that was coming to us every month.
Oh, we can.
We can do
Okay.
Yeah, I know we had it as far as the board one time, because I think one of the questions was, is it how the ESSER funds are being used, and I think.
Well, yeah, and then it's also,
It's been a couple of meetings ago, we did the ESSER report of the overall piece. I think that was last month.
was a snapshot.
Yes,
for,
and-
I think,
and it
I
gives
think
you the
having,
bigger
being able to see that every month as the
Yeah,
money is
that's
being
good, okay.
expended would,
That's
Okay.
fine, yeah. That's I didn't add it to it, because I just thought we did it one time, and the question was done, so we move on, so, so. Okay, anybody else have any questions, anything else on the financial reports?
Let's see. There was something on the FEMA report. Let me go to that one. That's item D.
Item 5D, yes.
Oh, okay. Let me see which page is it on here. It has to do with that Texas Department of Emergency Management item, the TDEM. TDEM, is that how you? Regarding the old bus barn. If
Talking
you,
about the old bus barn payment that we received?
yes,
we
because it was on here before, but now it looks like that, the district has submitted an appeal to get a larger
What
amount.
it
Is that what that is?
I'm sorry.
Is that what that is? The appeal? What is the appeal for?
Okay, we only received $45,385 in cash.
Okay.
The report, I should have probably, I can next month show you what they disallowed. The original amount of $324,000 was on there some months ago. When they settled up with us, they're saying that after they disallowed expenses that I had included on our report, that we're only going to receive $45,000. They questioned how we were billed. The detail that was not on the bill is what they were questioning that we received from Weaver and Jacobs. The billing that we received, the bus barn was just a very, like maybe 6 lines out of all, like maybe 20 pages of a bill. And they wanted to have fees that were associated broken out, and that's not the way our bills were. So I'm getting with Weaver and Jacobs to see if they will break out the bus barn and then apply all the fees that was for the overall project and break it down and apply what would be appropriate for the bus barn, and I'm going to refile those. And that's with the appeal process.
Okay, so that's like another $270,000
It
potentially.
potentially, I don't think it's going to be that much because one thing, the $324,000 was based on FEMA's original cost estimate, but when we actually got our estimates with Weaver and Jacobs, it was more like $184,000 that it cost to build the building. So FEMA's not going to give us money that we never spent. So that was going to be brought down to whatever the building cost, and that's where we started getting, not a disagreement, but we couldn't justify what we had already originally said, that the difference between the $324,000 and what it actually cost, that the $184,000 I have to justify.
Okay. So that's the amount we're appealing. I mean, that's the amount
Yes,
we're
and
shooting for,
I will
the
go back and
184.
I will
Okay.
will give you more details so you can follow it. I see where there's a disconnect.
That's a big cost, projected cost difference between what FEMA told us that building would cost, based on the square footage, I'm sure, versus what Weaver Jacobs came in and the actual cost with them was.
I know, I couldn't believe it was so much less than the $324,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just so that we can anticipate when we will do whatever adjustments are necessary for the budget, how long does the appeal take? Any idea?
I have no idea.
Oh, we haven't done this before, the appeal
No.
process? Oh, okay,
No.
okay.
But you're also
learn
working with a government entity, so
Okay.
anytime you work with the government, it could take up to a few years to get appeals sometimes,
Oh,
so.
mercy.
Yeah, well, my concern is if we did our forecasting, based on the 324,000, right now we've only received 45,000. But the reality is we probably weren't going to receive 324 because the cost of the project was only 184. Okay.
Right.
All right.
And I had adjusted our FEMA report before, and I will bring one of the older reports back without that, without this one where it shows where it was 324, and then I had adjusted it down I'm not sure what I called it, if it was a disallowed or difference, but I had adjusted our report down.
Okay.
Cheryl, the issue with the location, the original location versus where we built it, that we overcame that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the financial reports? Okay, moving on to item 6, consent agenda. Consider and approve minutes of the October 10th, 22 2022 regular meeting and the November 7th, 2022 special meeting. Has everybody had any time to read over the minutes and have any corrections or comments on it? Okay. Then next would be to, do I have an emotion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by
Sorry.
Mr. Rector.
You said the consent agenda? You mean the minutes?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Second it.
Well, it approved, it's approved, the deal is approved consent agenda. That's what we're doing. It's not the minutes, the consent agenda. It's underneath the minutes. The minutes are underneath the consent agenda.
Okay. Are we doing both at the same time?
Well, the minutes are the consent agenda. So we're just approving both minutes at the same time.
It's the same thing, you're just wording it differently.
Yeah, it's just a way to say it. So again, do I have a motion to, Mr. Rector's already made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Diosas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes, got it. Next is action item. First is consider and approve monetary donation from Oxy Chemical. Again, is Ms. Cook or Mrs.
Yes,
Stansbury going to talk about
there's,
this?
this is actually happening thanks to our education foundation that has been out showing support for us, encouraging companies to not forget Aranza's Pass for any potential monetary donations as they're working towards getting funds for the grants they wish to give to teachers. And in the course of that, OxyChem reached out to me and said they weren't able to give the type of funding they'd like to give to the foundation that they're going to do next year, but they would like to give us something this year to go through towards CTE. So they sent us the $2,600 and we'll use this for CTE supplies. So we bring this to you tonight for your approval. We really appreciate OxyChem showing their support for our programs.
Anybody got any questions on that? Okay. Do you have a motion to approve the donation from OxyChem?
So move.
Motion made by Ms. Butler. Do I have a second?
Take,
Second by Ms. Hill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next is consider and approve budget amendment for donation from OxyChem.
With that donation, then therefore we have to do the budget amendment to move it into our finances.
Finance, correct. So anybody have any questions or comments on that? You got any further things presented to that, Ms. Cook?
Just
No.
bookkeeping.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment for donation from Oxy Chemical?
So move.
So moved by motion made by Ms. Butler. Do I hear a second?
second.
Second by Mr. Flores. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next, consider approved budget amendment for donation from the athletic boosters to Aransas Pass High School baseball.
Once again, a budget amendment to take in that funding that was donated from the athletic club to our baseball program.
Anybody have questions on that? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment for the donation from Aransas Pass, our Aransas Athletic Booster Club to the Aransas Pass High School baseball team?
So move.
Motion made by Ms. Hill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Diosas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next, consider to approve monetary donation from McCoy's Building Supply.
Always nice to have these types of action items. So we appreciate the support. McCoy's is going to be supplying the supplies that the Spanish Club needs for their chili cook-off, I believe it is. This is not going to require a budget amendment because it will go into the athletic fund. That wouldn't work. It goes into the activity fund. So we don't do a budget amendment for that. They have their individual activity funds, but we do want to receive this and recognize this donation.
Are we soliciting these?
I'm sorry?
Are we soliciting for these, or are they just
I
coincidentally coming up all at the same time?
think it may be because she was mentioning that our foundation is going out and soliciting.
I don't know that our people have time to go out and solicit, but what's happening is through our alliance, with the chamber, and them becoming aware of what's going on in our district and wanting to support. I think it's just becoming partnerships that they're I know when I took the group on tour, I took the chamber leaders, new leaders, on a tour last week, 20 of them around to every campus, to our CTE center, and they were all, by the end of it, they were so excited. They were asking me, and I wasn't doing that to solicit anything. I was doing that to inform them and educate them on what's going on inside our walls. And they were asking me, what can we do to help? One lady even watched me, said, get a wish list from your teachers. By the way, we need to do that, a wish list. Wish list from our teachers. I want to find a way to make some of their wishes come true. I mean, that's the kind of, it's just getting the word out, and they're wanting to support us. And so, so no, we're not trying to go out and beg for money, but we sure will not turn it down.
We're happy to take it, right?
We will sure not turn it down.
Yeah.
Did this chili bean dinner already happen for the Spanish Club? I noticed it had a date of November the 9th in the intended use section, but I wasn't sure if that
I do not
actually
know
happened.
that. You'd have to, Mr. Todd?
and this is probably a reimbursement of that.
Okay.
Yeah, they had to use the funds out of their own budget, the club budget, to do that, so just gonna redo that.
Good catch.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure if there was an opportunity
To
for
go have
us
some chili.
to support their fundraising
We
efforts.
missed the chili.
Okay, anybody got any question, comments on that? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the donation from McCoy's to the Aransas Pass High School Spanish Club?
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Diasas, second by Ms. Hill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next, consider and approve the Office of we already did that one. So let's move on to item 7F. Consider and approve renewal of membership in Walsh Gallios
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Retainer Program.
This is a yearly renewal packet that's brought to us, and it's for your consideration to continue with Walsh Gallegos. If you have any questions, hopefully Cheryl or I could answer them.
Are the fees the same, or did they change for the
I knew you were going to ask
upcoming?
that, and I didn't look that up. Do you remember? As soon as that came out of my mouth, I said, she's going to ask that, and I didn't go back and look that up.
It's kind of standard, something we do every year, right?
Yes, it's a standard contract that we have with them, a retainer.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it is the same, but I could not guarantee that. If you need that information, you could table it, and if you don't know that before, but I mean, we've had good luck, I guess is the word for them, using them. I don't know that you'd want to go out for another.
I was just curious because if fees change, such as the hourly rate or anything of that nature, just for planning and budgetary purposes, I just want to make sure that we're aware when we do annual renewals or that type of thing. That
Well, we budget for this, and so if there's any change, if we think there's going to be a change, we, especially like insurance and things like that, we'll add some to that. So she's looking back real quick to see. Did you find it? No.
Kind of look like on the third page, you see right there, retainer term and cost is $1,000.
Right, it's 1,000. She was just asking, is it the same?
Mm-hmm.
and then they have, in addition to that, is the any additional work. There's an hourly rate.
Yes. Yeah, they list out exactly what is included, and then
And then
you
what's
have,
extra, right.
yes.
I guess one of the questions I'd be interested in, I mean, we've done this with Gallegos for years now, is are we getting other proposals being submitted other than theirs when we're going to renew? Is theirs the only proposal that's coming in, that's
There's just
coming
the only
for us?
one. If you, usually that's done if you want to request, if you want to change. If y'all see a need to begin to change, we could table this. I could go out and get some information. There's a process though to choose your
No, I understand, but I mean,
attorney.
how, as a governing body, how do we know that the fees that we're being charged by one vendor are not a little bit more exorbitant than what may be charged by another? How do we know that fee is an actual market value fee, and it's not something that we're just incurring an additional cost just because we approve it every year?
Right.
I mean, we're not comparing anything. We're just stamping it every year. I think that's kind of what Ms. Butler's kind of referring to in a sense, but
Right.
I mean, we haven't had any issues with them as a law firm. I just don't know how you make that analysis of what we're being charged versus what another attorney's firm's fees may be.
Yeah, we would, I would have to investigate that. I've never gone out for a law firm before, so I'd have to investigate how the process, and to get the information, and then I can bring it back to you next month.
I'm not saying that's what we need to do. I'm just saying, kind of piggybacking on what Ms. Butler was saying.
And I don't know if legal services are different, but you know, it's certain types of contracts, there's a max number of years before you do have to go back out. But I don't know if that applies to legal services or.
Professional services, it's my understanding that you do an RFP and you base your decision on their reputation, their capabilities, that time. Like with auditors, you don't do, it's not a bid for low bid. You base it on their qualifications.
So
Oh,
you basically initiate a request for proposal, kind of like what we did with our disaster recovery
Yes.
company. I don't think we haven't done that one in years as far as professional services for legal services.
So do we want to table that or consider it?
Is there a renewal date on this? As far as when we need to, they need to secure payment of the retainer?
December the 1st.
Is that what it was?
Well, the proposal is the fee schedule is July 16th for legal services retainer agreement. So it must be July to July. That's what's on page 3, I guess.
On the first, it says the district's membership is up for renewal on December 1st, 2022, and so enclosed the retainer agreement. If the district chooses to continue, please sign. The invoice for the renewal will be sent on 12/1 with your regular monthly statement. So it looks like we're up.
December.
And we received this on November 2nd. So this was right before our last board meeting. It didn't get on that agenda. Or it was dated the 2nd. That doesn't mean we received it on the 2nd. So if you'd like me to, I can do some research and bring it back next month. That would probably, I might could talk to him about, I don't know how that looks to kind of hold us in limbo for a few weeks from December 1st, because our meeting will not be until December 12th.
This is the one we approved for last year.
Okay, so looking at what we approved last year, it looks like that the fees did go up.
What was it last year?
So for example, the fee schedule, let's see what page number is that on the packet. It looks like it's page 10 of 15. The hourly rate was $2.30. Now it's $2.50 an hour. For an associate licensed less than 1 year. For 1 to 2 years, it's now $2.75, and it was what? $2.40. And then for associates licensed over 2 years, it's now $3.15. What was it last year? $2.95. And then $335 per hour for shareholders. Charge time on research, opinion letters, office visits, board meetings, and other work of a general nature. This year it's $335, and last year it was what? $315.
What was
And that's for clients.
And what was the main amount that you said it went up from, it's 1,000 this year and it's,
No, the retainer, the annual retainer's the same,
okay.
just to retain them.
It's the fees for
But
those
it's
other.
as you conduct
conduct the
call upon
business.
them and utilize them,
Right.
that hourly rate
It's changing.
has changed for all of their associates.
Well, if you so wish, I'm
I
not,
think we should approve it so we are not left without any representation during a very critical time. If we need them, we need them. It's $1,000 for the whole year. If we find, you can go out and get fees for, if they're it's $20 more basically for every service.
Per hour.
Per hour. If you find something cheaper and you want to bring it back to us at that point, we can reassess it. But to approve $1,000 retainer to keep them for another year, I think that would be the best interest of the board. If we don't get to approve it before the deadline, then we have no one representing us if we need. And they could very well say, sorry, we're not available.
Right.
And
Well,
I
and
don't think
on,
that's
it
in the
does
right
have
place
here
for
the
us.
retainer term and cost. I was looking for that to see. It says there shall be a fee of 1,000 for this retainer agreement due upon execution and annually thereafter on the anniversary of the execution date. The retainer agreement shall remain in effect until notice of cancellation is received. So I don't see anything that says you're bound for the year. We have to give notice of cancellation. So unless somebody sees something differently, looks like we could do just that and then begin some investigation to see if this is standard fees associated, or is there something we want to look at? However you wish to proceed.
Well, you also got to look at the quality of service you get. You may get somebody cheaper, but it's just like your house. You may get some contractor to come work on your house cheaper than anybody else, but your work you have to redo over because you don't get the same work quality and that. So that's something that needs to be considered in your evaluation as well, not total cost. And you know, I know that legal firm is throughout the state of Texas. In fact, it's throughout Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and New Mexico. They're pretty well known throughout the state, so, and pretty thorough and knowledgeable in what they do, so. Again, we have a suggestion by Mrs. Diasis to go ahead and approve the package, and to approve the retainer fee for Washington, Gallegos.
Those cells are
Drop
silent.
L's,
Just drop the L, that's right. Gallegos. Yeah, they should spell the name right. So. but anyhow, that motion's been correction of that. So we need to approve the legal service retainer agreement with Wash Gallegos. With the consideration that if we do research to see if we can find something better, and we do so.
John, I'd like to make a suggestion. I mean, I don't have a problem with the motion or even going with Gosh Gallegos. I would just maybe for next year look at doing an RFP so we can make a comparison of what's out there in the market versus what we're contracted to or signing for this year. This will transition us in, and if the language is in the contract that we can do that, go ahead and approve the contract tonight. Then if we wanted to direct administration to go do that research, they could come back. And I think with a 30-day notice, you could probably get out of that contract with notice and issue another one. We may find out that we don't need to.
Oh, certainly, yes. I just want us to be aware when fees, just in good stewardship, that we know when our costs are going up or going down or whatever the case may be. And then the other thing moving forward is if maybe we can get them to provide the renewal information earlier than the last meeting before it kicks in.
Yeah.
You know, because otherwise, if we had any additional questions or what have you, we needed to deliberate further, we're basically out of time unless we call a special meeting over Thanksgiving week, so.
Yeah.
So again, we're going to go ahead and approve the legal service retainer for agreement for Wash Gallegos, and then you got the administration do research and bring it back later on if they find something. So again, do I have a motion to approve the legal service retainer agreement with Wash Gallegos?
So moved.
Ms. Butler made a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Galvan. Had Fred back there, man.
I don't think even my wife wants to hear that, so.
For free.
Anyhow, to approve the legal services retainer agreement with Los Vegas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Next, consider the approved tax level, which we've already done.
You haven't done the tax
The
levy.
levy.
Oh, that, we did tax, yeah, we hadn't done tax levy yet.
Did some tax
Yep.
business.
Consider and approve the tax level, the 2022 tax level. Do you have any, again, Mr. Stansberry, Ms. Cook?
This is the information we received from Ms. Thormalin. She's our assessor collector. And this is the tax levy that our bills, all of our tax bills went out in October 1st. This is our tax levy of 10,857, excuse me,
Billion.
10 billion, excuse me. I'm not used to that. 10,857,295,092 And that is a total of all 3 counties, San Patricio, Nueces, and Aransas counties.
So this is the certified one.
Yes.
Does anybody have question, comments on that?
And this aligns with what we were anticipating when we built our budget, correct?
Pretty close.
Okay.
I mean, this, after all the ARB meetings and this is the way it ended according to when all their hearings were, but they still will adjust this. It goes up and down, fluctuates a little bit all year long when people are going in and paying their taxes or what have you.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have any question, comments on that? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 2022 tax level?
So motion.
Motion made by Mr. Galvin. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Director. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next, consider and approve request for bids of the Aransas Pass High School cafeteria serving line. Again, is this,
Miss Mann and Socorro have been planning on replacing the serving line at the high school for several months, and it's something our fund balance in food service is higher than what we're allowed to have. And so Ms. Mann and Socorro have been looking to see how can we upgrade, update, and spend this money wisely. And this is what they came up with. In order to stay legal, it's going to be over the $50,000 that we're allowed to where we just get quotes. So we need an RFP for this project. We will advertise in the newspaper next week for 2 consecutive weeks and then have the bid opening the first week of December and then present the results to you in December at our December meeting.
Do we have vendors on buy board?
We have vendors on buy board, but since the dollar amount is going to be well over, it's going to be closer to 100,000. So we have to do an RFP. Cindy did get quotes from people on the buy board, but when she went to go get the permission from TDA, they directed her that since it is in excess of 50,000 and closer to the higher, to the 100,000, that we really needed to do an RFP. It's with the federal guidelines purchasing, it would be wise to do that.
Is there a timeline that we have to expend the funds by?
As long as we keep telling them what we plan on doing with that excess money and we're showing them a plan, then we're fine.
And what is the timeline for doing this? Are we going out for bids for for proposals?
The timeline for receiving them would, okay, we're going, if you approve this, we're going to put it in the newspaper. It'll be published in next week's paper and the following week for a bid opening to be done on December the 7th. and then we would bring those results to you on December the 12th at our regular board meeting.
That's pretty fast.
Since they've been working on this for a while, they have already got a design. A company has already designed a serving line, and that is going in with the specs. That design will be used in the specs.
They're gonna try to do this over Christmas holidays then,
Yes.
the break, so that we get it done, okay.
So are we saying that the vendor that helped them with the specs will probably be submitting a request, submitting a bid also? Was it just somebody to help us with the design, or are they actually a vendor that's probably gonna be?
Okay, the vendors that we actually have spoken with that are on the buy board, what they do is they contact the company that's designed the serving line, and they make arrangements to pay for it. It's like they're buying it and upgrading whatever their costs are to us. They become the middleman. We don't, this is the first time that we've done this port on our own to replace a serving line. So I'm kind of like going on and learning as we go. It was my understanding, we talked to a representative last week, that once the vendor is chosen, then they contact the company and the actual serving line is built. So I don't know what the turnaround time is to actually have it manufactured, the final product, and have it delivered.
But that's part of the bidding. They get those specs. They get that.
Yes, they get the specs and
that plan.
Yes, I can bring those to you.
So will the replacement line, will the layout or configuration change or use any more space in that existing area?
The way I'm understanding is that they did a walkthrough. The company came in and looked and did measurements, and Cindy had her input of what she wanted it to look like and all the components that she wanted it, and then they went back and did a design for that's specified for the high school specific.
Okay. And hopefully they can complete it over the break before our kiddos come back.
Okay, anybody have any questions or comments on that? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the request to receive bids for a new serving line at the Ranges Pass High School cafeteria?
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Butler. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Galvan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next is discussion for future meetings. Anybody have any topics or things they wanted to bring back to future meetings? Which would be in December.
Not necessarily December, but we had talked about sidewalks for the peripheral around our schools. In particular, last couple meetings we talked about the connectivity from our high school and middle school down Demery. And so that was something we were allowing staff to possibly see what could be done. We know that all of that is not city, some of that is county, but just if we can, I guess,
We've started those.
have get it on the agenda for discussion somewhere down the road. It doesn't have to be December.
Yeah, we've
but-
started those discussions. I've had Wayne reach out, and we're trying to gather that information we just don't have it to give you a lot of information right now, so.
Oh, no, that's something major, so we expect that would take time.
Yeah.
Just, so we don't lose sight of it.
No, we've been working to get that.
Okay.
So nobody have any future topics? Okay. Then with that, next convened executive session is authorized by Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code 551.001, concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act, Section 551.074, personnel, resignations, review, evaluation process, and personnel management. The time is now 8:15. I close this portion of the open section and we convene in closed session. Okay. The time is now 9:58, and again, we reconvene in open session and act on any items required from closed session. Again, to have a motion to approve, the rescinding the resignation as recommended by administration.
So motion.
Motion made by Mr. Galvin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Butler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody disagree? Okay, the time is now 9:59, and with no other further business before the board, I now adjourn this meeting.
Hey, Troy, don't-
Blaze, do you have any signature?